everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, we have two sponsors we want to say thank you to for supporting this show. The first one is Routine. You guys have heard me talk about Routine, honestly, back from the early days of the podcast, and it's still a product I use every single morning. They have a prompt for me here. I'm going to do a little impromptu on this ad read today because honestly, this is a product that I truly believe in. And so I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I think and why. First and foremost, this is a stat that they shared, but when you sleep, you lose between a pound and a pound and a half of water. And most of that's just sweating while you sleep. I used to not know if that was actually true, to be honest. I felt like a pound to a pound and a half of water seemed like quite a bit while I slept. But the one thing I did constantly pay attention to when I started using Routine was just the fact that before using Routine, I always felt a little dehydrated in the morning. And I'm one of those people that when I get up really early usually. I work out. One of the first things I do is some form of fitness. It's just like what I do before everyone's awake. And so it's very easy for me to grab a coffee, pre-workout, an energy drink, something with caffeine in it, and just go. When I am good about using Routine, first, I basically they come in these little single serve packets. They contain half an organic lemon, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and they have no sugar in them at all. A lot of hydration products are going to have sugar. So one of the things about Routine that I love is that there's no sugar in there. So when I am good about doing this consistently, I will take one of those single serve packets, I'll throw it in my mixer bottle, and whether I also put in a pre-workout or something with caffeine or I just drink that separately, I try to drink that first. And the days I do that, I do genuinely feel hydrated and just have a different form of clarity all morning. A lot of people have tried to make their own homemade versions of Routine, right? You see people they take a shot of the apple cider vinegar, they put a little sea salt, a little lemon in a drink. This is essentially that, but in a product that you can take with you on the go, have it ready for you first thing in the morning. I know me personally, when I'm groggy rolling out of bed, the last thing I want to do is, squeeze a lemon, cut lemons up, go get the apple cider vinegar, find my sea salt. I just rip this packet open, throw it in my water, drink it, and it's good to go. You can try yours today. If you haven't tried it yet and you've been listening to this podcast for years, just try the damn Routine. Give it a shot. You can use code ShaneWhite30 and get 30% off your first order. So you get 30% off by using code ShaneWhite30 and go to yourroutine.com. To make it even easier, I've added the link to yourroutine.com in the show notes. So just click on the show notes for this episode, click on the link to yourroutine.com, and don't forget to use code ShaneWhite30. All right, guys, today's episode is also brought to you by NeuroRoast. Again, I'm going to go a little off script here. NeuroRoast is a product that I also came across during this year of 2023. They are a coffee company that's helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. This is another product that, to be honest with you, when I first started working with it, I was a little on the fence. I was like, do I really want to have mushrooms in my coffee? Well, folks, I will tell you, when I use NeuroRoast, one of the things that has stood out to me the most is I'll back up. People that know me know that I have way too much caffeine, typically. One of the things this year I've done a good job of is cutting out alcohol. Not completely, but predominantly, I don't touch a lot of alcohol anymore. What I think I've actually done the other way, though, is add a lot more caffeine. So I do definitely drink too much caffeine. That's something I need to work on next year, is to try to minimize how much of that. But NeuroRoast is something that has actually helped me because of the way they've formulated their coffee. Like, unlike regular coffee, which is, still something I consume, but NeuroRoast specifically doesn't cause jitters or crashes. Mushroom coffee provides more balance and sustained energy, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. So the times I do use NeuroRoast, I'll be honest, I just don't feel that jittery, like, I'm jumping out of my chair or standing here at my desk jumping around feeling. So give NeuroRoast a try. They have some really good flavors. I'll be honest too, the two guys that started NeuroRoast are just really good dudes based out of New York, and they're hustling, and hopefully they can get some people to try NeuroRoast this holiday season by listening to this podcast. So for you folks who've been on the fence, I'm telling you, it tastes delicious. They've done a fantastic job of making this coffee not only be functional, but taste fantastic. And if you want to try NeuroRoast, you can use code ShaneWhite. So it's super simple, just ShaneWhite at checkout. you'll also get 30% off. So if you go to neuroroast.com, and once again, I have added that to the show notes. So just click into the show notes while you're listening to this episode. You can click on NeuroRoast link directly. Don't forget to use code just Shane White, and you'll get 30% off your order. Hope you guys love both these products. I'm trying to not only bring you guys products that I use, but that I believe in on the podcast. I'm not taking ad reads for any brands that I don't really believe in. So anyway, hope you guys love both those products, yourroutine.com and neuroroast.com. I've added those links to the show notes. I hope you guys love it. And I got an awesome guest coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode here. We survived Prime Day. We're back. We made it through. We did not record one last week because we were staring at advertising data and Seller Central data all day for 4 days straight last week. So We're back. What's up, man?
Going good. Kind of coming back to normal, which was great. Recapped an exciting week just this week for our clients from Prime Day and caught up on some sleep, and things are starting to settle down a little bit. But yeah, I think our goal for connecting today and recording this was to chat through some of the learnings from last week's Prime Day. This being the first year that Amazon did 4 days as opposed to 2, what that meant, trends that we saw, kind of high level insights. So we can dive right in. I think the first thing that I want to bring up is, generally speaking, sales trends over the 4 days.
Yeah.
And I don't think this will come as a surprise to anyone. You saw this when it was 2 days. Obviously, when there was only 1 day, this isn't applicable. But day 1 was our biggest day. Days 2 and day 3 certainly were a come down from day 1. They were actually shockingly close, days 2 and day 3. And I would say for not all of our clients, the majority of our clients, day 4 was the number 2 day. So in terms of volume, day 1, day 4, and then day 2 and day 3 were pretty even. I think that's probably what we expected. In talking to Amazon, I think the shopping behavior that we saw was day 1, everyone's excited, everyone jumps on, buys whatever they can, big deals. I would imagine if you were to look at Amazon devices, electronics, TVs, vacuums, like big ticket items, I'd imagine those day 1s are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, they gotta be nuts.
But the shopping behavior that we saw that drove day 4 was exactly what we did with our wives last week, which was you load up your cart for 3 days and then you hit checkout on the last day. So that was something interesting to see, and I'll kick it over to you to talk to what that means in terms of the advertising trends we saw.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kyle put it in perspective, but I mean, first day was definitely the biggest. We also saw across the board, advertising in general, it was the most expensive day. We just had bid prices be a lot higher. We did have impressions. So for everyone who doesn't have a real deep understanding of advertising, bid prices is just how much it costs to bid on anything. So energy drink, I have an energy drink next to me. If we were bidding on the word energy drink, the price of that, on day
click.
1, click. Exactly. It was well above. I mean, it's going to be different for every category, so I don't really have a number to share of like how much higher. So it was actually very dependent on the category and product type. But macro, day 1 was very expensive, very competitive. ROAS came down a little, like ROAS was lower. So like ROAS in general was lower on day 1 than normal. It was kind of the opposite trend. ROAS actually got better each day of Prime Day for our clients. And a lot of that's just there's less competition. Bid prices came down a little bit. I think for anyone listening who, you have your own Amazon business or, you work with Amazon, what's always interesting for Kyle and I on Prime Day with advertising is our strategy, not to go into all the details of how we execute Prime Day, but really like at the macro level for what you want to do for Prime Day. I know we talked about this on the pre-Prime Day show. It's the best possible 4-day stretch of the entire year to drive trial. you're running some of the deepest, if not the deepest discount you will of the whole year. People are looking to try new things. And so we try to be really aggressive on day one. It's an opportunity to get in front of all these people, and for young brands especially, to make sure that you're showing up there. And so I'm less worried about ROAS as I am conversion rates, actually. And so just a fun fact for everyone, I mean, with the brands we work with, conversion rates were actually higher on day one across the board for every single client that we work with than a typical day leading up to Prime Day, which again, what that means in simple terms, for all the clicks we did buy, it might have cost us a lot more than normal to get those clicks, but the amount of people that clicked and then actually hit purchase was well above what we normally see, which just goes to show the power of Prime Day, right? We're running these steep discounts and everyone knows they're good deals. So
everyone's ready to buy.
We should give John a shout out. We've been working closely with someone over at Kavoo Partners who, he said something really powerful to Kyle and I a couple weeks ago, which is just, all ad spend on Amazon is good ad spend. And when you back out, what that really means is it's easy sometimes to be really micro focused. And I get that. Like, Kyle knows this better than anyone. Like, I've always been the finance half of us. And so, if a dollar in gets us a dollar out, that's what most young brands are really focused on, which isn't something you shouldn't focus on. But for something like Prime Day, we try to really help our brands see the bigger picture of, you might be getting a lower ROAS this week, but if you can get new to brand purchases and get people trying your product for the first time, the likelihood of that turning into long-term success in August and September is tenfold of what it would be any other week of the month.
Yeah, I think John actually would be potentially a good guest. I'd be curious to talk to him for a half hour or so about Buy. He's part of the team that launched Buy on Amazon, which that was back in 2015. I was at PepsiCo, and I remember watching that brand climb the bestseller list when they didn't have distribution. And I joked with John, the amount of decks and sales pitches to retailers that had the bestseller rank from Amazon, I'm sure every single one did. And I'll never forget, it happened over the course of a year, right? Like, they just started to climb the list on Amazon, and then before you knew it, they had every end cap at every Target you ever went into.
Yeah, right. That's right.
So yeah, maybe have him on. The other thing too on Prime Day that we noticed, guys, the steeper the discount, the better the performance. That obviously doesn't come as a shock. One thing different we did for our clients this year is we actually tracked discount depth across main competitors. We had heard from the Amazon Emerging Brands team that 40% was that discount threshold you had to have in order to be considered for secondary placement. So what that told us was, hey, bigger CPG brands who are influencer backed and working with the Emerging Brands teams, Bureau is a good example. Those brands had to be 40% off if they wanted any kind of secondary placement on site. What that's done across basically every client we work with, the amount of subscription growth that we saw during Prime Day is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, there's definitely going to be consumers who fall off, which is they took advantage of the subscription discount, they took advantage of the Prime Day discount, maybe they get their first shipment and they cancel. Maybe they don't. We don't know yet. That's part of having a phenomenal product. And even if that consumer hangs on for 2 months or 3 months and just forgets that they have it, money well spent, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
So I think in the next conversation, we'll talk about post Prime Day strategy, not to give up everything that we're working on, but high level, we want to talk about, okay, Prime Day's over. We drove all of this trial. What do we do now? And that's inventory, that's promo, that's advertising. So we'll deep dive that a little bit, but Prime Day 2025 officially wrapped. Dare I say, I'm happy it's over. Now let's focus on fall Prime Day.
Hopefully we got fall Prime Day around the corner. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, if they make fall Prime Day,
it's going to be
4 days. I know it's going to be 4 days.
I just saw. I meant to send it to you. Right before this, I saw that they announced like some of the early numbers from Prime Day, and it was earth shattering. So I'm sure they
record breaking every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Every year.
Exactly.
Alrighty, awesome. Everyone.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and congrats to all those who had a good Prime Day this year.
See you guys.
Awesome. All right, see you guys.